So open your little atheist books to page 59. So define what miracles are and explain why you believe they're possible. So first, define what is a miracle, according to your book. Okay, yeah. Good. Yeah, special act of God that interrupts the normal cause of events, that goes against what would happen naturally. Now, I don't know if you believe in miracles or not, but I can tell you what the book says about miracles, that logically, so according to logic, if God exists, which is what we spent the whole first semester deciding, that if God exists, then miracles make sense. And you would expect an all-powerful God to exert that power in miraculous ways. He already has. If it is true that someone created the universe out of nothing, that's a pretty big miracle, right? So the even creation is proof that miracles exist, even if it's the only one. It proves that that miracles exist, and it would make sense that a God that created that miracle and created life would create more miracles. Number 5, why do you think so many people today don't believe? Is that raising your hand, or you're just stretching? Okay, they don't occur frequently.
Or as obvious.
They're sometimes not as obvious. Yeah.
I think there's like a lot of weird explanations that people make up.
Yeah. Okay, so I think you're onto something there, Elijah. If you don't believe in God, and we've talked about that before, that's an act of the will, right? If you don't want there to be a God, that's certainly an act of the will. So if you don't believe in God and you don't want there to be a God, then you're going to find ways to explain away miracles. So it's a decision of the will. They don't want to yield to God. They don't want there to be a God because they might have to yield to God. They might have to live differently or believe differently than they already do. And God might require something that they don't. So it might, like many other things, it's a decision of the will. Then on the equip on page 60, I believe you did part of one. There's some that's left to read about. And then, did you read through 203 yesterday? Is that what you did? Yeah, okay. So then we do 1, 2, and 3. So what is a miracle? We already said that. The miracle is a special act of God that interrupts the normal course of events. Did anybody write something more than that? I have this quote from the book. It says, something that would have never happened had nature been left to its own devices. So a miracle is something that would never happen if nature is left to its own devices. Why? Because a miracle is supernatural. It is not a natural occurrence. It is a supernatural occurrence. And then the third one was what happens rarely and by supernatural causes. So all of those are good definitions for miracles. What did Ronald Nash say to the Russians that opened their eyes to the fact that the box, in other words, the universe, is open and created by God? Yeah.
Just like I can reach in his walking, God created the universe.
and to us it may seem silly, this open box and this closed box, right? And why would that make light bulbs come on? But for the Russians who had been taught their entire lives that there was no God, and you know, Scripture itself says that that God has set eternity into the hearts of man, right? That we have this something in us. The way Pascal put it was that in every human heart there is a God-shaped vacuum, empty space. And so there may be reasons we don't want to believe in God, but we all have this sort of innate sense that there has to be something more than just us. And so these people who had this in them, this desire, and their grandparents would have been Orthodox believers most likely, or their great grandparents, and so they have this sort of faith background in their history. And so this was a profound thing for them. This open box and this closed box, and there's for the closed box, there's nothing outside the box. That's all there is. But for the open box, there is something. There's a God who created the box and who controls what is happening inside the box. And it was very meaningful to them. And yeah, it made sense. It made sense to them. What is the greatest miracle? What is it? Creation. Creating something out of nothing. Creating the universe out of nothing. So that's the greatest miracle ever. And why would that set a precedent for all other miracles?
All of the miracles are simply tasks for the powerful being.
If God can do that, He can do anything. He can do anything He chooses. Anything else is child's play. It's like Steph Curry making a layup, right? He can shoot those threes like nobody's business. Surely he can make a layup, right? Okay, so we'll stop there for this, and then open your Big Atheist books to page 203. For those of you who don't enjoy my reading aloud, you get to read to yourselves today. So, although you can read to each other, I don't have a problem with that. So you're going to begin with objections to miracles, and then you're going to read until it's just like one sentence on 210, and where it says, you stop where it says, all that glitters is not God. So 203, the bottom of 203 to the very top of 210, and then you are going, and I'll write this down for you on the board. Whatever you don't finish is homework. You're going to answer equip numbers 4 and 5. If you get done before the end of the hour doing this, please spend some time with your study guide working on that. So I'll write that on the board, but 203 to 210, and equip 4 and 5. Today's Wednesday, isn't it? Yep. No, it's not homework if you don't get it done. It's not homework if you don't get it done, but I think you can do it.